in transition. We'll take a quick break, come back and see if Marquette can steady themselves or if St. John's can keep it going. Right now, Red Storm up 8-0 early.
Greatness is not something you're born with, and you don't achieve it overnight. It's something you learn and refine. It's something you build together as a team. It requires exceptional effort, sacrifice and integrity, and tremendous faith. Greatness is not a destination. It's something you find in yourself at Providence College.
Welcome back to Carnesecca Arena, Queens, New York, on the campus of St. John's. The Red Storm out to an 8-0 early lead on Marquette. Jonathan Yardley, Mike Watts, and Jay Alter with you. And Mike, Carolyn Keeger, the Marquette coach, said, we want to keep St. John's out of the paint. No check mark just yet.
Nope, all 8 points for St. John's in the paint. Marquette last time out did a really good job in the second half as they pulled away of getting points in the paint in their most recent win against Providence. The problem right now, she said, can't give up offensive rebounds. That's already happened. Can't give up dribble penetration from the guards. Aaliyah Lewis has already gotten to the basket. And then we've seen Jade Walker drive the baseline and get beyond the defense in that direction as well. Right now, St. John's is putting on a clinic in doing what they do well, forcing Marquette out of transition, forcing them into half-court offense while getting into the paint consistently. It's why they're 4 of 5 from the field and off to as good a start as you could get at home.
St. John's starting Big East play 5 of their first 7 games on the road, including the first 3. So this is the first home Big East game. And then they get DePaul Tuesday night. So you start with 3 of 5 away, and one of your home games is DePaul. That's a tough task.
It is, but you know, if St. John's walks out of this with a winning record, you look at the rest of Big East play and go, we're Giants, we can do anything.
Alizea blocked in, got the roll that time, and has Marquette on the scoreboard, averaging 17 a game to rank 2nd in the Big East.
Yeah, she was out of the starting lineup in that most recent win over Providence, just trying to shake things up, maybe get a sense of urgency within the group. She's back in the lineup tonight.
Walker at the elbow was too strong with that one. Heidemann, chance to go 3 on 2, and she threw it too far for Danielle King.
There's going to be a little frustration there that you didn't convert, but that is what Marquette's trying to do. And when Carolyn Keeger got the job here at Marquette, she was a very good player for the Golden Eagles during her college years. She came off a 6-year stint at Miami and said, I'm trying to bring in a fast-paced, offensive, transition-based game. And so that's what you want to see, just not the result they want.
Imani Wilborn checks in the backcourt, replacing King. St. John's goes cross-court, no good with the three-pointer. And if Marquette can sit in that zone and force St. John's to shoot threes, they might feel pretty good about their chances. Marquette will fire up three-pointers all day. 30% of their shots come from three-point range, whereas St. John's takes the fewest in the Big East, under 25%.
And even that feels a little high. Perhaps they're adding some late. It feels like it's more like 15%. This is not a team that's comfortable beyond the arc on a consistent basis.
You can see they're daring St. John's to shoot from outside. Littleton doesn't want it, finds Willaire, and one for the Red Storm. What a play.
They want that zone. They want 3 players to collapse in the paint. Nice pocket pass from Littleton. That is a circus finish, but Willaire barreling into 3 players and finding a way to finish. Wow.
Keena Wallaire leads the Big East in free throw percentage. No problem with that one. She was the big recruit of last year's class and steps right into the starting lineup after the graduation of two of the St. John's greats, their all-time leading scorer, Aaliyah Hanford, and her backcourt mate, Denasia Grant.
And talk about a player in Wallaire who committed to Marquette at first. This could be a totally different game if she were on the other side.
Michaela Yentz sinks her first shot for Marquette. It's 11-4 Red Storm. Lewis will try it and hit. Big time three-pointer.
She's only a 20% three-point shooter. She just happens to make the obvious ones, and that always helps.
Blockton trying to respond. Fight for the rebound. Wallaire couldn't get it to a teammate. Yentz got her own rebound. Wilborn missed the layup. It's scrappy. And who else but Aaliyah Lewis comes away with it?
Well, and that's St. John's basketball, scrappy. 5th in the country in opponent effective field goal percentage. Teams like Utah, Baylor.
Wilborn brings it up for Marquette. In danger of falling way behind early. Uses the window and gets her first two of the game.
Scored a career-high 17 against St. John's in their meeting last year.
St. John's working against the zone. Good pass by Walker, but it's off the body of Littleton. It'll turn over to Marquette. There's Carolyn Keeger, third year in charge of Marquette. Now you see her in the boot, ruptured her Achilles over the holidays. In the first game, she was on the sideline against Georgetown. She was on a rotating stool. She didn't feel she had enough mobility. And so she just brought her scooter out onto the court. She feels she can go up and down the sideline a little better. And it can be pretty amusing seeing her go up and down the bench on it, but more effective so far.
Better me than the rest of the team. I'd rather have the injury personally, but we talked with her a little bit before the game about Coach Hunter at Georgia State and the NCAAs with a similar problem.
KB couldn't hit the contested layup. She's still hawking Blockton. Couldn't come up with the steal either. Isabel Spingola in for Marquette, her first appearance. King back on the floor running the show. Inside against Lewis and sinks it.
Maybe had an inch or two of height on the roster in their equivalent at 5'5", but I think Lewis is a bit generous.
No argument from me. KB gonna drive, pull up, and it's out off of Littleton. So we saw St. John's score against the zone early, Mike, but it seems like that could give Marquette the defensive presence they want in this game.
It was 8-0 at the timeout. Marquette has been a little more consistent at staying packed into the paint like they wanted to coming in, and they're on an 8-6 run. They've evened the playing field in the time since.
Michaela Yentz traveled as she received that pass. Andrea Adams checks in for St. John's, freshman from Minneapolis.
And the difference between Adams and Wallaire who comes out is there's no shot Adams doesn't want to take. Wallaire doesn't take, I don't want to say bad shots, but contested threes. If you're going to shoot out of the zone, Andrea Adams is the perfect player for it.
They go to Walker in the high post. They're looking for Adams. She and Lewis not on the same page, and the turnover's starting to mount.
Curled around a screen on the low block and came into the corner. It looked like they were getting what they wanted. Rare turnover for Aaliyah Lewis, who handles the ball so much in this offense. It was just a little miscommunication.
Now, St. John's forces the most turnovers in the conference, but they also commit third most.
And that's a playing in half-court offense problem.
And that's as a percentage of their possessions, I should note, not per game, as Marquette has closed it to a 4-point gap.
Here's this zone again, so how do you break out of this? The easy passing they got inside early isn't available anymore.
Looks like a 3-2 at the moment. The wings extended. Walker goes inside and gets the call. Marquette bench can't believe it. But it's a blocking foul on Amani Wilborn. Oh, and she got the bucket too. Check it out.
Let's take a look at that restricted area. We don't get a great look at her feet, but it looks like she sets herself right on the edge of that restricted line. That's a tough call for any official to make. I think the hardest call in any sport is a block versus a charge. When you add the line to the equation, it only makes it more difficult.
This one of 5 Big East games, all starting at the same time today. 4 of the 5 on the Big East Digital Network. We're glad you've joined us from Queens, New York. St. John's out to a 17-10 lead on Marquette. Alongside Mike Watts, I'm Jonathan Yardley. Jay Alter's floating around somewhere on the baseline. Nice moves by Wilborn, and she responds to the foul call with a bucket. She's got 4.
Last year, this was a game of young offense against old offense. Marquette young, St. John's old. The St. John's offense graduates, and these younger Marquette players are real offensive threats.
Heidemann, speaking of shooters, she can score from anywhere, but missed that shot.
Heidemann, Wilborn, blocked in, all sophomores, all offensive threats.
Davenport coming off a big game. Can't get going early in this one. Walker from outside. Not what she had in mind. That doesn't count as a turnover. It doesn't count as anything fancy other than the opponent missing a shot, but it's exactly the kind of shot Marquette's trying to force St. John's to take.
Absolutely.
Uncomfortable.
If you push Jade Walker 20 feet away from the basket, you'll take any shot she tries, even though her mid-range jumper is really smooth.
Blocked in, working off the dribble. Now Wilborn. Nice crossover. Wallaire contested, and the rebound grabbed by Maya Singleton, the junior college transfer. Lewis spies the bucket and draws the foul. Norma Jones, Geraldine Smith, and Saif Esho, the officials.
Aaliyah Lewis has to will the ball into the basket when she forces herself into the equation like that. She's a little bit, well, a lot of bit smaller than a lot of players that she goes up against when she drives the paint like that.
Sandra Udobi, number 33, in for St. John's, as you see Michaela Jentz return for Marquette. Udobi missed time recently because she didn't have her knee brace. And without the knee brace, she's not going to be able to make the cuts she needs to make on the floor. It's custom made. They had to get a replacement, and she missed a couple games because of it.
It's not that Udobi plays an unbelievable number of minutes. It's just that you want her available to you as Littleton comes back into the game to help spell, whether it's Walker, who's off the floor now this last minute of the first quarter.
Great team defense there. Wallaire came in with the block after Udobi, moving quickly with the new brace, was able to body off Davenport.
And if you're able to stay in front of Davenport, you can get that help defense. Wallaire on the previous possession had a hand in the face as a defender and did a really good job. She's done a really strong job in this first quarter on defense.
Wallaire guarding King there. A couple of Chicago players, same year. Heidemann pull up. And Marquette doing a really good job on the offensive glass so far in this one, despite the deficit.
Last year, Marquette was out rebounded significantly. This year, they're not only positive, they're +5 in this game.
Marquette leading the conference in rebounding percentage coming in.
I think that's a much better mark of a good rebounding team than simply who has more rebounds. Because I would have a lot of rebounds because I personally would miss a lot of shots if I were on a team. Those are easy to get.
Blocked in. This time St. John's comes away with it. They want to move before Marquette can get set, before the clock expires, and KB's shot well wide. But still, St. John's out to a quick start in the quarter, and they hold that lead to the end of the first. St. John's 19 and Marquette 12 through 10 minutes here at Carnesecca Arena. Aaliyah Lewis and company in front early. We'll come back with the second quarter right after this.
Greatness is not something you're born with, and you don't achieve it overnight. It's something you learn and refine. It's something you build together as a team. It requires exceptional effort, sacrifice and integrity, and tremendous faith. Greatness is not a destination. It's something you find in yourself at Providence College.
Big isn't always visible. Sure, you'll see it on our scoreboards and our stat sheets, hear it in our bleachers, and feel it in our seats. But big also lives in our attitude, in our drive, in our hustle. Big is how our minds are framed. Pure basketball is what we play. That's the Big East way.
Commitment to excellence. That's the Big East way.
Come, join us. Be loyal. Be true. Stand by your school. Your unwavering devotion is welcome here. We've got a seat for you. You are on our team. Unite in the passion. Share in the fun. Come, join us. That's the Big East way.
True to form, strong defensive first quarter for St. John's. They lead Marquette 19-12 after 10 minutes as we get underway here in the second from Carnesecca Arena. Number 1 in the Big East, number 2 in the country in opponents' scoring average, holding opponents to 51.1 per game. Some of that is the pace they play at, but a lot of it is the way St. John's plays defense. They start with the ball in the second half. Offensive rebound by Willaire, and she lost the handle and fouls Danielle King.
Crystal Simmons will try that three. Nearly got it to go down, and when she loses the ball, just a little bit of a push, and more than anything, I think she sort of fell in. That's a tough foul to call, but one you have to call because it really should be Marquette's ball.
See what adjustments Marquette makes in this second quarter. They go inside for Davenport on Udobi. Sandra Udobi grabs the rebound and hangs on for dear life.
Udobi, a healthy scratch last time around, was on the bench in uniform, didn't end up getting used in the win over Butler for St. John's, and she's given some really good minutes defensively for the Red Storm so far this afternoon.
Another tough contested shot doesn't go, and the St. John's offense has really been slowed down after the 14-4 start.
Just 3 of their last 13 after starting 4 of 5.
Heidemann from deep. How about that sound?
That sounded amazing. My goodness. And for Heidemann, she can shoot, she can score from just about anywhere. That was sweet.
The spin on that was like few shots I've ever seen. I mean, what does St. John's want to get out of these possessions with no Walker on the floor?
It makes things a little more difficult, doesn't it? They look a little less prepared to play offense.
Because if you assume Lewis is facilitating, right, she's not usually a scoring option, who do you want the basketball to
Simmons,
get to?
Udobi, and Littleton are all 5-point per game or fewer scorers most of the time. You got Lewis, who's about a 10-point-a-game scorer, but that's not really her game. Now you got Jade Walker coming back in. She's really the only person who creates her own shot on a consistent basis. And so her coming back into the game is significant to trying to reestablish offensive flow. She gets about 3 minutes of bench time between the end of the first and the start of the second quarter.
So just 2 minutes there with no Walker and no Wallaire on the floor. There's Aaliyah Lewis.
Forcing herself into the equation. We think of her as 5 assists a game. She's asked to do a lot more scoring this year, closer to 10 points a game, although her shooting percentages have really fallen this year, being asked to take on that extra load.
What a block by Simmons. Third one early for St. John's. Crystal Simmons, 5'10", terrific wingspan for a guard. Now a junior defending Blockton here. And she is in there for her defense.
That's a tough assignment.
Another St. John's rebound. Lewis running the floor. Gives it up for KB. Nice moves. And she gets the roll.
KB is slowly developing into a scorer in her freshman season. Wasn't doing much of anything on the offensive end in the first 10 games.
Nice move by King to the basket.
Last 5 or 6, she has come on in a big way for St. John's.
Was it a 1-3-1? I'm trying to figure out what exactly this zone is for Marquette.
From court side, it almost looks like a 3-2 or
right. Jade Walker gets the roll. She's got a game-high 11 of St. John's 25.
And Valentine is playing up because it's a matchup zone, and that's where Walker takes her.
Foul was called. It would have been yet another block, and I think Jade Walker's still talking about it.
Her entire hand hit the entire basketball, and you could hear it from here. Getting up, KB commits that foul to the side and forces her in, funnels her in, and then you just see Walker come out of nowhere.
Walker was saying, I know you weren't calling that on me. That was on her. Wilborn checks back in with Natisha Heidemann at the line. Her half-brother was playing at Marquette, just transferred out in November to Green Bay, still staying in the state up there. And a little half-court trap and a steal by Blockton. Marquette mixing up its defenses, but they can't keep a handle on it.
And even though you don't get points either direction on that, you just effectively sped the game up. You'd rather get points, but now you've got 2 possessions in 6 seconds, and it's up to St. John's to take a deep breath and make sure that as they come up the floor this time against continued pressure, you see all your outlets, because Walker was available on the left side of the floor had she been seen on the previous trip up.
They trap Lewis, she gets rid of it. And now they get it back to her and set up. They're making them work hard in the first 10 seconds of the shot clock. And St. John's will use all 30. Not this time, however, as Aaliyah Lewis lights it up. 12 in the first half for her.
3 assists, 3 rebounds, pack the whole stat sheet, why not?
Nice response from Blockton.
2 points in the first, now a 3 in the second. Blockton, a 17-point-a-game scorer. You wonder if she's going to begin to heat up here to end the second quarter.
Let's say, you hold her to 2 in the first and you say, check. Lewis did well to keep that in. Walker loves that mid-range and knocks it down.
So we've seen Walker drive the baseline, take a baseline jumper, take an elbow jumper, and get an offensive rebound putback.
Walker averages 12.9. Lewis averages 8.9. They've both already eclipsed those marks today. Adams was trying to find a teammate. All she found was the baseline, and it'll turn over to Marquette. Still St. John's in front. They've actually added to their lead by 1. Red Storm up 8 here in the second.
Greatness is not something you're born with, and you don't achieve it overnight. It's something you learn and refine. It's something you build together as a team. It requires exceptional effort, sacrifice and integrity, and tremendous faith. Greatness is not a destination. It's something you find in yourself at Providence College.
Stand your ground. That's the Big East way.
We've all come in with titles. Best record, most points, heavy favorite, underdog. But once this tournament begins, all these titles go away. What matters now is the one title. This title is for anyone to claim. This title goes to only one name. This is why we play the game. Get tickets now.
Welcome back to Carnesecca Arena on a Sunday afternoon. St. John's in front of Marquette, 30-22 as we play in the second quarter. With Mike Watts, I'm Jonathan Yardley. Jay Altered on his phone texting, digging up updates as we speak. And so far, obviously St. John's is in front. Mike, you and I talked so much about tempo. Marquette wants to play fast. St. John wants to play half court. St. John's has the lead. Is it a product of tempo or something else at this point in the game?
That's a segment of it, but when we spoke before the game with Coach Keeger and certainly Joe Tartamella's philosophy this year, win in the paint, don't give up points in transition. That has something to do with tempo. It's deciding that you want to play in the paint if you're St. John's in the half court and keeping Marquette out of that fast break offense. How about Marquette? 0 fast break points, a couple of turnovers with good opportunities. And for St. John's, winning points in the paint, 14-6, including an 8-0 start. This is what Joe Tartamella's whiteboard looks like in the locker room. You want those two categories on your side.
Marquette was down 10 early. They haven't been able to cut it closer than 6. Chantel Valentine, Wilborn, And the rebound grabbed by Andrea Adams.
It took 29 seconds to get an off-balance, one-handed effort towards the basket in the paint for Marquette.
On the offensive end, Walker is in. Walker is not for St. John's. They go to Jade Walker, and she is the recipient of a foul against Chantel Valentine on the floor.
And look at that matchup. Valentine gets the basketball late in the shot clock, doesn't quite know where to go, looking for a pocket pass. And then you see Walker gets the basketball, attacks the basket, forces herself in, and tries to make Valentine uncomfortable. And there was a big difference between the two there.
Adams pull up, rainbow, hit the side of the backboard. You said she wasn't shy about shooting.
No.
Not shy about playing defense either, and forces the turnover.
And we saw it with KB. She had a bad turnover earlier in the game and then ran down the floor and poked it out. You saw Simmons have a couple of really strong defensive plays, one ferocious block. This St. John's team, they enjoy defending as much as they do scoring, and that is such a lost art in college basketball. This is the St. John's team that loves keeping you to 51 points a game.
They missed a block. They've still got him with two. We definitely saw a third.
Yes, and a fourth that was blown dead before it got there.
Yeah. Mike and I will keep stats for you, don't worry.
Yep.
Lewis not on the mark with that jumper. Hydeman the rebound, a chance to run. They've already messed up two of these opportunities. This time it's a foul against Lewis. And although she's surprised about it, I think there was little question about the call.
Leah Lewis plays with this giant smile on her face, but the difference between that smile and the smile, that wasn't me, is pretty insignificant that maybe the average official wouldn't be able to tell that she was displeased at all.
Again, St. John's, I think, forced Hydeman to put more arc on that than she wanted. But another offensive rebound. That's 7 for Marquette. I think St. John's has 1.
And you talked about it, how many turnovers they force per possession, a really good number. But beyond that, they just make teams take shots they don't want. And sometimes they go in, like Blockton just hit there. But a lot of the time, they don't go in because you force that little bit of difference. You force them out of their comfort zone. This is what makes St. John's so good defensively.
Alizea Blockton with 7 for Marquette. St. John's swings it to KB. She's open and she hits.
Simmons drives, Walker at the top of the key, extra pass, knock it down.
Again, St. John's does not shoot for a high average from three-point range, but every time they make one, it's such a lift for that bench and for that defense. Nice moves by Blockton to knife between two players. And she'll go to the free throw line.
2 shot. Let's go, ladies. 2 shots.
Assisted baskets in this game right now, 9-3. St. John's is passing the ball effectively, working it around, and Marquette right now a little isolation heavy.
Nobody on either team really in foul trouble, but 2 fouls for Amani Wilborn on the Marquette side. Something to watch. Akina Willaire with 2, and that's why we haven't seen her much in this second quarter for St. John's.
Not like Blockton to leave points at the free throw line, and yet she's still right around her pace for an average 17-point game.
Lewis grabs the rebound and looks straight away. Let me get to midcourt and restart the half-court offense.
Only her 4th rebound of the game. She leads the way for the Red Storm.
Nice pick and roll. Maya Singleton able to finish. That looks familiar. Blockton's heating up. She's into double digits.
8 points in this quarter. Last year set a 21-year-old record for most points in Big East play by a freshman. Snapped that record, blew it up in a significant way, and she's scoring like she did last year again in conference play.
Anything you can do, I can do just as well. Alicia Kaby.
you gotta look, but every time one team hits a three, it sure feels like the other responds.
Offensive foul away from the ball against Marquette. And it's the third foul on Chantel Valentine. We're talking about foul trouble. She and Wilborn saddled with it for Marquette.
If I'm St. John's, Jade Walker is getting this basketball, and she's going to make 31 in blue work.
She's staying in the game. A minute left in the quarter and a half on 3 fouls, and instead Walker shoots from outside.
9th three-point attempt of the year when you've got a player on you with 3 fouls in the first half.
Valentine the rebound. I don't know whether that was a rejection or not, whether it'll officially be credited as one, but St. John's has one more possession here. If you get that matchup, Mike and I are of one mind here. Get it to Jade Walker.
And you bring in an extra shooter, and Adams takes Simmons off the floor. St. John's hasn't used a timeout, so if they get a basket here, probably burn that use it or lose it timeout and bring Simmons back on. But this is an offense for defense switch.
As you can see, differential of about 2.5 seconds between game and shot clocks. So St. John's wants this to be the last good shot of the half. They go for Walker on the run, and she scores. Left a lot of time on the clock, but extended the lead. Heidemann. No swish this time. King hits it at the buzzer and gets fouled. That could be a momentum builder for Marquette. We saw Michaela Yentz hit one at the end of a quarter against Georgetown. This is the end of a half and the chance to add to it at the free throw line.
Marquette in the first 2 minutes and 7 seconds trailed this game 8-0. Since then, they're only -2 on the road, and they're beginning to feel more comfortable. This is clearly a three. You clearly hit the follow through. Just not a strong decision from Walker. You want to contest, but not like that.
So a 4-point play turns what was a 13-point St. John's lead into just a 9-point game at the half. It's a little thing, but it's going to make a big difference in the Marquette locker room.
Yeah, they're going to feel pretty good about themselves. You struggled early, but you fixed it later. Now they try and go into the locker room and continue to do what they did well in the final 18 minutes of this first half.
The third member of our team, Jay Alter, is with St. John's coach Joe Tartamella.
Hey, Coach, you started with an 8-0 run. What worked for your team in that first?
I thought we played great up until this last play right here. I mean, we should have been taking one shot. We went too early on offense and allowed them to get a possession, and then a second possession is just an unfortunate way to go in. But I thought we really did a nice job executing the game plan. We just got to make sure we shore up a few things on the defensive side and then be able to continue to attack offensive. If we can make shots at the rate we are able to get out and transition like we've been, we'll be okay.
How do you make sure your opponent doesn't use that 4-point play as momentum coming out in the second half?
That's just how you start the third. I mean, we got to be able to make sure that we value the ball here coming up, especially the first couple possessions. If we can get a couple stop scores, we'll be in good shape.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
Joe Tartamella happy with the first half as he was with our Jay Alter. Happy with the first half except for the closeout to end it, but St. John's in control throughout. The Red Storm on a frigid afternoon, shooting well. They're up 9 at the half.
We are
Greatness is not something you're born with, and you don't achieve it overnight. It's something you learn and refine. It's something you build together as a team. It requires exceptional effort, sacrifice and integrity, and tremendous faith. Greatness is not a destination. It's something you find in yourself at Providence College.
Big isn't always visible. Sure, you'll see it on our scoreboards and our stat sheets, hear it in our bleachers, and feel it in our seats. But big also lives in our attitude, in our drive, in our hustle. Big is how our minds are framed. Pure basketball is what we play. That's the Big East way.
Commitment to excellence. That's the Big East.
Come, join us. Be loyal. Be true. Stand by your school. Your unwavering devotion is welcome here. We've got a seat for you. You are on our team. Unite in the passion. Share in the fun. Come, join us. That's the Big East way.
Big cities. Big names. Big legacies. Big sisters and brothers. Big ideas. Big expectations. Big stage. Big results. That's the Big East way.
Why do we do this? Why do we sweat, push, and scrape, all for this game? We do it to prove something to ourselves, to our families, to the next generation. We do it to make something last, to preserve this game. We do it because this much talent is a terrible thing to waste. We do it because that's the Big East way.
Halftime at Carnesecca Arena in Queens, New York, with St. John's in control of this one, leading Marquette 40-31. Jonathan Yarley courtside with some of my closest friends. Of course, in this game, we've seen some standout sophomores on both sides. In the Big East last year, freshmen, 5,000 points, 2,500 rebounds. They really adjusted quickly to the college game. What's in store for them sophomore year? Let's find out.
The transition from high school to college basketball often takes time and adjustment, but last year's Big East freshman class made an instant impact on the court.
I mean, I never really thought about being a freshman. I just always played. That's what I like to do. So when I stepped on the court, it was never about I'm a freshman and everybody else is older than me or anything like that.
We were so young. We were kind of forced into that role. And for us to be successful at any level, we knew that's what we had to do.
Just being thrown into it right away, I think it helped me a lot just to learn things a lot quicker.
Last year's freshman class accounted for over 5,000 points and 2,500 rebounds. Now entering their sophomore season, 5 of those impactful freshmen were voted to the preseason All-Big East team. There were more sophomores represented on the team than any other class.
They were very impressive their freshman year. I was really proud of them, how they, as freshmen, being younger and maybe not as mature as the older players in our conference, but towards the end of the season, they developed, and you couldn't see that anymore.
I think it can be seen as a strength and a weakness because we were so young, we were inexperienced, so that could be definitely a weakness. We didn't really know what to expect or what was going on. We didn't have many minutes under our belt, but it can be seen as a strength too because we all came in. We had instant chemistry. We're going to be able to grow together throughout the year.
I wouldn't say it was easy, but I think, I don't know, I just took it day by day, trying to learn as much as I could, and I think my teammates helped me with that.
With so much youth and talent, Big East women's basketball is a force to be reckoned with for years to come.
Oh, just great, because it means that, you know, throughout the years, the competition isn't going to really die out. It's going to be great all the way up into our senior years and then even after that.
Obviously makes it really exciting because we're going to be competing against them my whole career here, so I'm going to be competing against really good players. So, I mean, I think it makes it really exciting. It's going to make for some really exciting games throughout my entire career.
With a record-breaking year in the books, the sophomore class looks to once again make their mark on the Big East. We had a huge weekend in Big East women's hoops. Let's take a look at the top plays. Coming in at number 5, Creighton and Xavier. Marissa Janning dishes to Rollerson. Beautiful pass for the bucket. Blue Jays lead 49-36. Next up, it's Marquette and Creighton. Golden Eagles putting on the press. Lauren works wide open from the corner, and she knocks it down. Number 3, Seton Hall and St. John's. Deja Winters with the steal. The pass to T.T. Smith, and the Hall takes the lead. Number 2, Georgetown and Marquette. End of the third. Michaela Jentz from way downtown drains it with the buzzer beater. And coming in at number 1, Providence trying to pull an upset at DePaul, but Schulte has something to say about it. The wide open look, she knocks it down to give the Blue Demons the lead. Be sure to follow us at Big East WBB to catch all of your highlights this season.
Greatness is not something you're born with, and you don't achieve it overnight. It's something you learn and refine. It's something you build together as a team. It requires exceptional effort, sacrifice and integrity, and tremendous faith. Greatness is not a destination. It's something you find in yourself at Providence College.
Big isn't always visible. Sure, you'll see it on our scoreboards and our stat sheets, hear it in our bleachers, and feel it in our seats. But big also lives in our attitude, in our drive, in our hustle. Big is how our minds are framed. Pure basketball is what we play. That's the Big East way. Big isn't always visible. Sure, you'll see it on our scoreboards and our stat sheets, hear it in our bleachers, and feel it in our seats. But big also lives in our attitude, in our drive, in our hustle. Big is how our minds are framed. Pure basketball is what we play. That's the Big East way.
Commitment to excellence. That's the Big East way.
Come, join us. Be loyal. Be true. Stand by your school. Your unwavering devotion is welcome here. We've got a seat for you. You are on our team. Unite in the passion. Share in the fun. Come, join us. That's the Big East way. Come, join us. Be loyal. Be true. Stand by your school. Your unwavering devotion is welcome here. We've got a seat for you. You are on our team. Unite in the passion. Share in the fun. Come, join us. That's the Big East way.
Well, welcome back to Queens. St. John's 40, Marquette 31 at the half. And the Marquette head coach, Carolyn Keeger, is downstairs with R.J. Alter.
Coach, down 9 to start the third quarter. What did you tell the team at halftime?
Got to start on the defensive end. You know, we got to protect the paint, and we got to play to personnel. It starts there. Everything else will take care if we can just stop them from scoring easy buckets.
Good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Back to you, John.
Carolyn Keeger frustrated with the Marquette start defensively, and we're going to show you why. St. John's really had a field day early in this one, jumping out 8-0, 14-4, and Jade Walker 15 in the first half, a huge part of it.
Full arsenal of moves in these 3 highlights alone, cutting both sides of the lane, jumpers, whatever it takes. Aaliyah Lewis, what a performance in the first half. 6 assists like that, 12 points. KB came along later in the half, hitting some important threes. We saw Wilborn get involved on and off, blocked in 10 very quiet points, 8 in the second quarter. That one was a miss. She had a couple long-range tries that you felt she could have gotten a little bit better on, hitting the 3 as well. Then you see Heidemann getting involved. She finished with 5 first-half points. But how about KB? Couple of big threes, 8 points in the first half, second leading scorer on this club in Big East play so far. And St. John's has what felt like through most of that half a commanding lead.
The teams combined in the first quarter to go 1 out of 10 from three-point range. They were 50%, 7 out of 14 in the second. That's why you saw that barrage of threes. Otherwise, again, Marquette winning the rebounding battle, but they haven't turned a lot of those offensive boards into points. They've just turned them into extra possessions.
Right, and that's going to be the big key for Marquette. You're a 34% field goal shooting team. That's well below their average, but St. John's at 50% and shooting the 3 better than they do on average by a pretty sizable margin. That's going to be tough to beat. You need more than just a rebounding margin to outdo the Red Storm today.
St. John's trying to win its 9th game in the last 10, and it's 6 straight at home. Second half action coming your way when we return to Queens.
We are
Greatness is not something you're born with, and you don't achieve it overnight. It's something you learn and refine. It's something you build together as a team. It requires exceptional effort, sacrifice and integrity, and tremendous faith. Greatness is not a destination. It's something you find in yourself at Providence College.
Getting ready to start the second half at Carnesecca Arena. Big East basketball on the Sunday afternoon. So glad you could join us on the Big East Digital Network. I'm Jonathan Yardley alongside Mike Watts. Jay Alter, our man on the baseline, the sidelines, the stands, the concession stand. Yep. And we've enjoyed this one so far. St. John's leads by 9 in a game that went to overtime last year. See what Marquette can do for this second half. Carolyn Keeger told Jay it starts with defense, but the Golden Eagles will start with the ball here, down 9. And Alizea blocked and drives, loses the ball. Despite contact, no foul, and that's not how they drew it up.
No, but I prefer that blocked and attack the basket to start, and if that ball gets to Wilborn, it's an easy 2, and it's exactly how you drew it up.
Marquette trying to up the pressure in the backcourt. Great ball movement, but Littleton traveled. Walker made the perfect pass, and Littleton moved both feet instead of one.
Jonathan, you do some NBA games. You know that's not a travel in the big leagues, but apparently that's a travel here.
There's another block, and the ball thrown off Littleton. We'll see if she gets credit for that one. I'm stuck on this.
You're acting as the statistician too, but hey, look at Littleton. She goes back the other way and gets that block after the travel. It's like they feed off defense after offensive miscues, and boy, that helps you avoid a big turn in a game.
Again, Littleton, that long reach to grab the rebound. I think she's still frustrated with herself.
As long as she got the block, then I think we're good.
Walker in the post against Jens. Thought she got fouled, no call. Blocked in on the run. Nobody can get on the board here in the second half. Jens for three. She hits. And it was a 13-point game right before the half. 7 straight. The lead is 6.
Jens, the most improved player in the Big East last season, 34% threat from 3, and that's a good basket for Marquette to open the scoring. Like you said, continue a run through the break.
Lewis put some touch on her entry pass, and Jade Walker put some touch on the finish.
Nice little underhand English there.
She's brought her game tonight. Oh, Lewis went for the steal, blocked and held her off. Blocked in against KB. Elbowed her out of the way. Offensive foul against Alizea, blocked in.
And you can't do this. You can't let your elbow get out in front of you like that and force KB to the ground. It wasn't the forearm push. It was that spin with the elbow that got that offensive foul whistled against Marquette.
Lewis was ready for the trap. Gets the ball back now to restart the offense. Here's Walker. She has 17 early in the third. Five to shoot for St. John's. Lewis drives, pulls up. And Marquette does pull down the rebound. Numbers up. And one for the Golden Eagles. Blockton responds.
St. John's beginning to get into the danger zone here. You let them get into transition, and Blockton is dangerous there. KB trying to make sure she doesn't get the bucket. You almost want to keep them from those transition baskets, even at the risk of a foul, just because you know how good they are at feeding off that energy and tempo. You send her to the line and you give her the points. Now it's down to a 5-point game from being up at a 13-point game just 2 seconds before halftime.
Remember that 4-point play that ended the first half? We said it could be critical, and it has helped Marquette tighten this one up. St. John's goes for Walker again, loves that J. She's got 19.
You know, in baseball, every rotation has that stopper. For St. John's, it's Walker. There's a run, you give her the ball, you let her score.
Ho-ho! Rejected by Littleton, but again, they're not able to control those blocks and win the ball. It usually stays with Marquette. King on the drive. And Walker going to be, well, they call it on Wallaire rather, for a hand check on the drive.
And they're going to put her at the line and say she was in the act of shooting. And you're right, it was a hand check as she drove, but I've seen some really lengthy continuation, and that's playing the very edge of it.
Now that's an NBA call. Anything is continuation. King is 73% free throw shooter, has 8 on the game.
Second best in the Big East in assist to turnover ratio. There are 3 sophomores in the top 10 of that category in the Big East. And you guessed it, they all play for Marquette.
Should say she had 8 in the first half. She has 10 now. And the St. John's lead is 5. Again, they led by 13 with 13 seconds to play as they turn the ball over here. Offensive rebound, and Blockton will go to the free throw line with a chance to cut the deficit to 3.
Speed the game up, use the trap. St. John's came out early and were able to force Marquette into their half-court offense and a lot of isolation. And right now we're seeing Marquette playing the game they want to play.
And again, you saw Crystal Simmons get trapped right in front of us at midcourt. She's only in the game right now because Akina Willaire picked up that third foul on the drive. And that takes a scorer off the floor for St. John's, and nothing against Crystal Simmons, but Willaire's a bit of a better ball handler as well.
And you like Simmons on that matchup, whether it's Blockton that she matches with one-on-one defensively, but on the other end, she's a slight liability in moments like this when they're trapping guards like Simmons in the corner. That's a tough spot for her.
Blockton has 15 after those free throws, and she has Marquette back in it. Under 10 to shoot now. Lewis takes it herself and is fouled just before her shot was blocked.
Sorry to correct you, I think the term is bailed out. Bailed out going to the basket. This is so late in the shot clock. Second time this half she's driven in the last 5 seconds of a shot clock and not gotten the answer she wanted. And in that case, it was a firm rejection, although she was fouled as well.
I'd say going to the foul line is an answer she'll accept. 71% free throw shooter. Leads the conference in minutes played and almost 36 a game, and you can see why. She was the only player who did not leave the court in the first half.
Now just 3 points off her season high against Duquesne's second game of the year in November.
That was 17, so she's at 14 now. Ooh, rattled out, no bounce on the three, and KB was fouled after snaring the rebound.
Yeah, that sure felt like a heat check to me. Here's a player who needs to find a way to get a basket. KB is the second leading scorer for the St. John's team in conference play so far. She needs to find a way to get a little more involved because she has had few touches in the direction of the basket in the first 4.5 minutes of the half.
She really struggled against Seton Hall and then has shot 50% from the field the last couple of games. They haven't found a way to get it to Walker in the last couple of possessions. She's doubled here. Threw it away. Heidemann on the run. Blocked in a wraparound pass. Got lucky there, but King attacks. KB pulls down the rebound. Big stop for St. John's.
They needed that in the worst way.
Now, can they get it to Walker before they set up the double team? Yes. Just didn't convert. Gets it back. Fires a fastball to Littleton. She can't convert. That is how you run transition, just not how you finish.
Isn't that the story of the game for Marquette? 3-4 times they haven't been able to do it.
Great feed from Lewis. Jade Walker, 21 points.
And Lewis, 8 assists in the game, and the key for her is she only averages 5 a game, but they don't move the ball that much. So when the game is sped up, she's an even better passer than she normally appears to be.
Did you see her recognize the player on the floor and just run around her to start a numbers up break?
High basketball IQ.
And St. John's will slow things down with the lead back to a respectable 7.
Marquette felt this game turning, so did St. John's. They were able to get a couple big baskets. Now they're trying to slow it down and get it back to their pace.
10 to shoot. Walker sets the screen. Lewis, blow by. Wow. 16 points, 8 assists, 5 boards for Aaliyah Lewis. First time St. John's has gotten back to a 9-point lead. And Marquette is not hitting from outside. Under 30% now from deep. KB knew she missed, was chasing the rebound. She didn't know just how badly she missed, but St. John's has retaken control of this one. Red Storm up 9 here in the third.
Greatness is not something you're born with, and you don't achieve it overnight. It's something you learn and refine. It's something you build together as a team. It requires exceptional effort, sacrifice and integrity, and tremendous faith. Greatness is not a destination. It's something you find in yourself at Providence College.
Why do we do this? Why do we sweat, push, and scrape, all for this game? We do it to prove something to ourselves, to our families, to the next generation. We do it to make something last, to preserve this game. We do it because this much talent is a terrible thing to waste. We do it because that's the Big East way.
Stand your ground. That's the Big East way.
Aaliyah Lewis, the senior from Staten Island, dishing and scoring for St. John's.
Look at that pass to Jade Walker, and then whoop, watch out, Heidemann. No, young blood, I'm a senior. Let me get all the way to the rim with ease, turning on the Jets. Aaliyah Lewis is playing a monster game on all ends.
Lewis, 16 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds for St. John's. She's played every second of the ball game. She and Jade Walker, the catalysts on the offensive end. Walker has 21 points, 5 boards. Defensively, as usual, just about every Johnny has contributed.
24-8, those points in the paint. Both those count in that segment, but they're getting inside any way they want right now, like they did in the first 2 minutes of the game when they rushed out to an 8-0 lead. And they're bullying Marquette around a little bit. They're making it hard to get inside Marquette, taking too many long-range shots. Right now, Aaliyah Lewis and the Red Storm have gotten this game back to the way they wanted it to be played, because Marquette, for a 5-minute stretch here, made it look like they were going to dominate this second half.
We're just one of 5 Big East games going on this afternoon. We'll bring you the halftime scores from the other 4. DePaul is absolutely crushing Seton Hall, 60-35, 60-35 at the half. Villanova and Providence, 28 all at halftime. And that'll be a jump ball call. Littleton, battling with Jens, was able to get the tie up. Georgetown 35 at Creighton, 28 at halftime. And Xavier led Butler 39-26 at the half in Cincinnati.
Look, I think the 2 best games today in the Big East, obviously this one here, then DePaul, my goodness, blowing out Seton Hall. Those are the 2 fastest playing teams in the conference, 9th and 10th in the country respectively. And sometimes when you play that fast, it can get out of hand faster than it otherwise normally would.
Littleton got the board, got the assist, and KB finishes.
KB into double digits, give her 10 points, right on her Big East scoring average so far in her freshman season.
By the way, good thing Tony Bazell is not mic'd up today in that game.
Yeah, that game on FS2, I do wonder how much that's going to change the dynamic of how college basketball is seen on TV.
That's 4 blocks for Littleton.
Those arms, they are lengthy.
And number 15,
You kind of got to see a contrasting set of coaches, and Zell and Coach Tartamella here from St. John's.
Walker learned her lesson. She didn't foul on the closeout, and Simmons came away with the rebound.
I just imagine 15 minutes of barking after committing that foul to end the first half before they came back on the floor.
Joe T's lucky he wasn't mic'd up for that one.
That's correct.
Or maybe Jade Walker's lucky.
Yep. Although that's one thing that the coaching staffs did say after the game, because it was a pretty big national story, and Lewis misfires. It's something where you don't want to call a player out on national TV in what otherwise would be a private conversation. You can't do that. You need to play smarter. You don't want to say that on national TV. You're calling out a player who you have to turn around and coach through practice tomorrow.
Not to mention some of those words of emphasis get adjusted, shall we say. Littleton, by the way, had not had more than 2 blocks in a game all year. She had 4 last year against Providence, and that's what she's sitting on right now, officially. Chance for Marquette to run with Blockton. Heidemann. That's the Marquette we're used to seeing.
First assist for Blockton. Heidemann getting out, getting in front of the pack. That's a scary sight as you head to the 4th quarter. And a quick cautionary tale. Look back at Providence Marquette this most recent game. Providence scored 52 points in the second half. Game speeds up a little bit, and you don't know who benefits sometimes.
Walker behind the back to Lewis. Time running out. Throws it up. Almost got the home court bounce. 10 to play here in the 3rd. Wilborn all the way. And Blockton's fouled on the rebound.
Almost that elusive 5th block, but a little too much at the hands from Littleton. How about that? Her first foul with 4 blocks.
Exactly, and that's one reason she's been able to run up that number. She's been in the game. St. John's bigs have stayed entirely out of foul trouble, right? Willaire's the only one who's really had to worry.
And Marquette's had a little more trouble with that. Valentine had 3 fouls midway through the 2nd quarter. Blockton 14 points in the last 2 quarters. That's on pace to get her to her season average. 1 more point here at the free throw line would do it through 3 quarters. She needs a monster 4th. This Marquette team to walk away with a victory.
17, right at that season average for Blockton. Jade Walker leads all scorers with 21, and we'll see what St. John's can do with 5.1 seconds. Aaliyah Lewis eludes 3, puts it up, almost drained it. It's back to a 7-point advantage for St. John's. We'll see if they can close it out, or if Blockton and Marquette can make a run in the 4th.
We are touchdown! We are touchdown! We are touchdown!
Greatness is not something you're born with, and you don't achieve it overnight. It's something you learn and refine. It's something you build together as a team. It requires exceptional effort, sacrifice and integrity, and tremendous faith. Greatness is not a destination. It's something you find in yourself at Providence College.
Come, join us. Be loyal. Be true. Stand by your school. Your unwavering devotion is welcome here. We've got a seat for you. You are on our team. Unite in the passion. Share in the fun. Come, join us. That's the Big East way.
Big names. Big legacies. Big sisters and brothers. Big ideas. Big expectations. Stage. That's the Big East way. Big. stand your ground. That's the Big East way.
St. John's 52, Marquette 45. Headed to the fourth quarter from Carnesecca Arena in Queens, New York. Jade Walker, big day, 21 points. Number 24 in the middle of your picture there. Senior from Maplewood, New Jersey, and DePaul Catholic High School. 3 points away from her career high of 24. Much more importantly, has her team in front by 7.
Before the season, Joe Tartamella called her the X Factor. We go as far as she goes. So far, it's par for the course.
Heidemann has not gotten on track from three-point range, but she sinks along 2 to start the fourth.
Heidemann just 1 of 6 from 3, like you said, but now 3 of 5 inside the arc. Maybe should stick in there.
Aaliyah Lewis filling it up in points, assists, and rebounds, running the offense. They go inside for Walker, 2 more. And Joe Tartamella drops a timeout just seconds into the fourth.
And while we have a moment, because we don't really have a moment, media timeouts 30 seconds into the fourth quarter are somewhat illogical. I don't like some of the timeout rules the women's basketball has initiated the last 2 years.
Joe Tartamella trying to get his players ready for the remainder of the quarter, get a little extended rest here. And I think surely he saw something he didn't like on the defensive end.
It has to be, because they got exactly what they wanted on the offensive end. And look, Joe Tartamella hadn't used a timeout yet. He lost that one at halftime, but he's going to go in and make a couple of substitutions. Littleton has already gone to the table. Singleton was sitting down. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly St. John's decides to do that caused Joe Tartamella to think that 30 seconds into the fourth quarter, he needed to call for time again.
Big isn't always visible. Sure, you'll see it on our scoreboards and our stat sheets, hear it in our bleachers, and feel it in our seats. But big also lives in our attitude, in our drive, in our hustle. Big is how our minds are framed. Pure basketball is what we play. That's the Big East way. Big isn't always visible. Sure, you'll see it on our scoreboards and our stat sheets, hear it in our bleachers, and feel it in our seats. But big also lives in our attitude, in our drive, in our hustle. Big is how our minds are framed. Pure basketball is what we play. That's the Big East way.
Back at St. John's, a whole 36 seconds into the fourth quarter. Jade Walker in beast mode tonight. Has already dropped 23 on Marquette to have the Red Storm in front 7, but far from a sure thing. With the kind of offensive fireworks Marquette is capable of.
Zero chance. I'm writing Marquette off right now. This group can score in bunches. We saw it at the start of the third quarter. Maybe the fact that they got such an easy basket to start the fourth is why Joe Tartamella called for time so quickly.
Blocked and in the block, rejected by Crystal Simmons.
How different is this game if Valentine wasn't in foul trouble? Got 3 in the first half. You just wonder how she matches up with Walker. At times couldn't, but Walker's toughest times, I think, have been against Valentine.
Alizea blocked in. Not that time, and Walker came up with an important rebound.
Walker career high in field goals made, field goals attempted, but a few more free throws away from being able to set that career high. One off the 24 she scored against Xavier at the start of the calendar year.
Heck of a rebound, and Jade Walker will go to the free throw line. to need a lot more nights like this, or afternoons depending, from Jade Walker in Big East play.
And Valentine picks up her 4th foul because of all the movement from Jade Walker, who gets the offensive miss and then forces herself into the basket.
St. John's has other individuals who can do each of the things she does, but none of them who can do all of them.
You know, St. John's had Rachel Daly playing women's soccer here. She's now playing for the Houston Dash in the NWSL. And when you spoke with their coach, Ian Stone, he said she's the best at every single individual thing on the field, no matter what position we put her in, except maybe goalkeeper, and I'm not even sure whether or not she'd be our best goalkeeper with some training. Walker's the kind of player who's the best offensive weapon on every single piece of the floor, and also the best rebounder in all phases.
Boy, they really changed that shot from Wilborn. It's not a block, it's just a miss, but really well guarded. Walker against Jens, passes out of it. Still plenty of time for St. John's. Boy, Lewis with a showy pass. Littleton wasn't ready for it, but she gets the bucket anyway. If Littleton was ready for every pass thrown her way and could convert it, she'd be a double-digit scorer.
That's right. She's still hanging in the lower half of the first 10. But God, she's had such a good game. The blocks, the rebounds, the adjusting shots on the fly. Wow.
Those were her first points, but she's got 4 blocks, 3 assists.
How about Wilborn at the line? Played in the same AAU program in Chicago, or outside Milwaukee, with Blockton and Heidemann. That's some high-power AAU team, and certainly a well that this coach wants to go back to, right?
It's a one-stop shop for Carolyn Keeger. She walked into the gym, she said, I'll take you 3.
I'll take all of you, all sophomores. Please go this way. This group, I don't know if they'll win a Big East title, but they're going to be real competitive for the next 3 years with this group. Same way you saw St. John's with that senior class last year. Grant and Hanford, I don't know if they're going to win a Big East championship, but they're going to be dang close.
Yeah, Walker forced that pass a little, but when Littleton came up with it, she got pushed on the baseline by Blockton. And it's a fresh shot clock for St. John's, which at this point in the game will do them a world of good.
And it's just another 25 seconds. You'll likely be able to take off the clock if you do this right.
They post up Walker. Career high in dominant fashion, 26 for Jade Walker.
Before the game, we heard she was 71 points from 1,000. We said she's not getting anywhere near there, but she's got a third of it.
Marquette will take a timeout as Heidemann was hung up on the baseline. And we'll take the break with them. There's been no break for Marquette from Jade Walker. She's been all over them this afternoon. Golden Eagles trying to make a comeback, down 10.
We are touchdown. We are touchdown. We are touchdown.
Greatness is not something you're born with, and you don't achieve it overnight. It's something you learn and refine. It's something you build together as a team. It requires exceptional effort, sacrifice and integrity, and tremendous faith. Greatness is not a destination. It's something you find in yourself at Providence College.
Big isn't always visible. Sure, you'll see it on our scoreboards and our stat sheets, hear it in our bleachers, and feel it in our seats. But big also lives in our attitude, in our drive, in our hustle. Big is how our minds are framed. Pure basketball is what we play. That's the Big East way.
Commitment to excellence. That's the Big East way.
Marquette down 10 to St. John's here in the fourth. Still a lot of time left. Still everybody available to go after him. If you're Carolyn Keeger here, what kind of adjustments do you need to make? They've been trying to make them all game, but what do you try and do here for the last 7?
Yeah, you're frustrated because Erica Davenport is a 13-10 player who's played 9 minutes and really been a non-factor in this game. So you're looking, whether it's Blockton, who's been inefficient today, or you're trying to get Amani Wilborn going, although she's 2 of 11. I mean, there's no one player where you feel you've got a consistent basket in the works, while Marquette is going to force St. John's into a higher scoring game than they would have liked. It was just a brutally inefficient offensive performance to this point for Marquette. So you're looking to drive to the basket, or if you're lucky, maybe you hit a few threes, but I'm not banking on it.
Danielle King on the drive against Littleton. That was a mismatch she was aware of in terms of height.
Littleton setting up for another block party.
St. John's with 7 blocks in the game has totally dominated the paint. Blockton knocks down the jumper to make it an 8-point game.
First points of the quarter for Blockton. She is up to 19, but as it has been the story of this year, it just hasn't been nearly efficient enough. She is 4th on her own team despite being 2nd in the conference in scoring in effective field goal percentage.
Oh, Jade Walker having a day. 28.
Conscious.
13 for 20 shooting. And from 2-point range, 13 for 17. That's out off the hand of Michaela Yentz. It'll be St. John's ball.
Big East beware. Walker is a player who's dominant offensively in half court. If St. John's can get teams to play their style of basketball this year, they're a team that's looking to repeat. They're the kings of this conference until they get knocked off in the tournament.
Somebody better get used to a double team. As Aaliyah Lewis draws the foul.
And they've shot the 3 at a 29% clip. In the first half, it was closer to 35%. It's not exactly a monster 3-point shooting performance. If threes start to fall come tournament time, and Jade Walker can't afford to be double teamed, well, then you've got that inside-out game that gets to be really scary for an opponent to see.
The last player to score 30 for St. John's was, I'll give you one guess.
Aaliyah Hanford?
Yeah. Last December at Kansas.
Could have been Denasia Grant. I mean,
right.
you know, that was a 1-for-2 proposition.
Right. I didn't want to give you a gimme.
Right. Or move back 2 years, maybe Amber Thompson, but even that was stretching it.
Well, there's Valentine, and there's Marquette going quickly.
There's Valentine's first 2 points of the game. 5 rebounds, but those 4 fouls. Valentine is only a 5-point-a-game scorer, but losing that matchup in a big way to Jade Walker. That's the black hole of this game statistically. That matchup has not been kind to Marquette.
8 to shoot here for St. John's.
Should be noted, Lewis also at a season high in points at 17.
I hear that's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Stripped by Blockton. They go quickly to Heidemann. Outside, Wilborn, way strong. Crystal Simmons throws it out for Jade Walker. Finish at the rack. 30 points for Walker.
My name's Jade Walker, and I get buckets.
Marquette getting frustrated and settling, and St. John's in control right now.
9th rebound for Walker, nearing yet another double-double. Just a monster game for her. There was no answer this afternoon for Jade Walker. If she didn't get these points at the line, she got them in the field. What's her name? What does she do, Jonathan?
Jade Walker finishes Aaliyah Lewis passes.
And gets buckets.
32 for Walker, 10 assists for Aaliyah Lewis. And that combination, that Joe Tartamella is pumped up as we've seen him all year.
Well,
look at the smiles on that bench.
Yeah, why not? 32 points from Walker. This is a monster game. Anytime you have one player contributing half your points and getting them in the paint. I mean, the paint numbers in this game are a massive disparity and single-handedly make up the difference. When we talked with Coach Keeger before the game for Marquette, we keep them out of the paint. We think we have a chance in this game on the road. If you don't keep St. John's out of the paint in Carnesecca Arena, you're almost certainly going to get tagged with a loss.
And the pick and roll. We haven't seen that as weapon du jour all that often, and Lewis and Walker have pulled it off a couple times.
That's the whole women's game, I feel, doesn't utilize the pick and roll as much as they should. It's a really solid concept if you do it right.
Well, and defenses aren't used to seeing it. You saw two defenders jump to Lewis there, and Walker was wide open. Littleton adding another rebound. Marquette had the edge on the glass early, but St. John's hasn't missed very much lately, and St. John's has been pulling down rebounds defensively. Marquette stays on the road. They're at Seton Hall on Tuesday, so they should get a couple good nights sleep and not have to worry about any flight issues. Three minutes to play here in Queens. They want a three by Heidemann. It's blocked by Simmons. She runs the floor, wanted it. Aaliyah Lewis wisely held up.
I don't mean to be a backseat driver, but if you're Marquette, you get in at essentially 11 o'clock, midnight Eastern, and then you have to wake up at essentially what is 6 o'clock Central Time to come to the arena and have shoot around. You spent all day in the airport yesterday. I just think that was a lot to ask of this Marquette team.
Heidemann responds with a three, and it is 10 points once again, and Marquette will press. This stays with St. John's in the corner.
Just the shooting numbers are low, only 29% from the field. Some of it is just bunnies that didn't go, but some of it I wonder how much Marquette didn't have the lift today to an extent, but I mean, that and St. John's defense is doing exactly what they've done all season long, which is stymie opponents on the defensive end.
Good handle by Andrea Adams to break the press. St. John's can drain some clock here. If they can hold on to the ball. 8 to shoot. Lewis splits two, drives, finishes. Nail in the coffin, maybe.
Deja vu is what that is. We've seen Aaliyah Lewis get to the basket like that. She breaks ankles and then puts the Jets on.
Somebody get her some rebounds.
So close.
Jens fouled on the three-pointer.
Yeah, Joe Tartamella is screaming and on the court.
It was a late call.
Yep.
And there's
it's a little bit of life here for Marquette, just a slight little bit with 93 seconds left.
There's Jens, just 5 points today. She's been averaging 7.6. Is a player who just got in 11 games as a freshman and became a starter last year. You said won that Most Improved Player award and is the veteran presence on this team.
Foul on number 15, Andrea Adams. That is her second foul.
Has started 45 of the last 46 games in the Golden Eagle lineup. You mentioned that veteran presence because there's not a lot of those. 60. This is a Marquette team that's so strong on sophomores. The vast majority of their scoring comes from that sophomore class. And Jens is asked to be more than anything a rudder for the ship, more so than a player who's expected to dominate the game.
So our officials, again, Norma Jones, Geraldine Smith, Saif Esho, going to review whether this was a 2 or a 3-point attempt by Jens. Foul was on Andrea Adams.
And Adams, despite not scoring a point in this game and being a 3-point specialist, I thought gave good minutes here in this one.
She had to. Akina Allaire was in foul trouble.
Allaire is going to go down as a footnote in this game at best, and she's shooting only about 50% from 3 this year.
They were reviewing whether it was a shooting foul or not.
I thought that part was actually pretty clear.
Me too.
Actually, I think the question was whether or not it was a foul at all.
I mean, maybe it was a foul on the screener, and that would be on the floor.
Although, if memory serves, Adam hit the shooter. Well, I thought if Adams was the call, that's the way it would go.
Another block. Littleton having a night. 5 blocks for Imani Littleton in one game.
Do not carry a basketball within 3 feet of Imani Littleton.
Nice rebound by Blockton in traffic, and she's fouled by Simmons. That's definitely a shooting foul.
You think?
I wasn't sure, but Jay told me. With Mike Watts and Jay Alter, I'm Jonathan Yardley. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. Heck of a day for St. John's Jade Walker. Career high 32 points, almost half of the St. John's offense, 9 rebounds, and Aaliyah Lewis, 19 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds. Alicia Kaby, 10 points for St. John's. Alizea Blockton with 20. Natisha Heidemann, 12. Danielle King with 10 for Marquette, which has never led in the game. St. John's scored the first 8 and has remained in control. I think the closest it got was 3.
And it's not going to get easier for either of these teams. St. John's will be hosting DePaul, who we mentioned earlier in the telecast, blew out Seton Hall through one half, up 25. And that Seton Hall team is going to be taking on this Marquette squad out in South Orange on Tuesday night as well. So it's not like either of these teams are walking into a simple game next time around.
Wilborn fouled out there. And so Marquette will use its time. Joe Tartamella will call his team in as well.
You know, these two teams played 2 amazing games last year. One went to overtime. Both were within 10 points. This is a bit surprising in result because you thought that it would carry over to this year given the groups that were coming back. St. John's played a bit over their head here, I think, in that they really did everything they wanted against Marquette. You look forward to the game being played at the McGuire Center in February, and the fact that the conference tournament will be there come March, and that's where things are going to really begin to heat up, I think, in this rivalry. I'd love to see this game played twice more this year.
Yeah, St. John's with shooting numbers up near 50% from the field that you're not sure they can replicate, but It's a heck of a good night.
You're getting a season high from Lewis and a career high from Walker in scoring. That's what it takes to beat this really good Marquette team. This is not a false prophet, this Marquette side. They're growing into a contender. For St. John's, you lost to Seton Hall, but other than that, unblemished in this conference. They'll get Seton Hall again here in Queens later in the season. This is a group that has genuine ambition of trying to become a repeat Big East champion. And they've got the horses to make it interesting.
Timeout, well called by Tardamella. He used his voice on that one, didn't need a microphone. To hold on to the ball for St. John's with the lead at 11. St. John's started 2-3, and it's going to be 9-1 since then, with the only blip at Seton Hall in a game where they'll tell you a lot went wrong.
That's true, but if you think about this schedule for St. John's, they're going to move to 11-4, 3-1 in the Big East. They played 5 NCAA tournament teams from a year ago, and they're out of conference, and a couple more made the WNIT. You'll look at James Madison and Fordham and teams that are much improved, and while they knocked off Wagner and Albany and Lafayette and Rutgers, who are all having at best mediocre seasons, this is a St. John's team that tested themselves consistently against Virginia, against Arizona State, against Miami, against Duquesne, William and Mary. They've already played Seton Hall in this conference, DePaul on Tuesday. You're beginning to see the full portrait of this St. John's team emerge as the season grows.
Adams gets it into Walker. Try to get it back to her, and it's turned over. Heidemann running the floor. Yentz a three. Way strong. Adams throws it ahead, and she's fouled behind the play. It'll be Andrea Adams at the free throw line. Adams 9 out of 10 at the free throw line this year, so a chance to get her first points of the day.
It should be noted, Marquette on the road this year, true road games, non-neutral, 5-0. They have a couple of 5-game winning streaks. Just because they lose this game doesn't mean it's indicative of necessarily where these two teams will stand in the long run, because Marquette did not get a single outstanding, efficient performance offensively from any one player. Even if Heidemann does finish with 15 and Blockton does finish with 20, which you would consider to be strong in most any other context.
Lewis does get the foul call after she's, well, it could have been called a tie-up. It'll be the third foul on Danielle King, and Aaliyah Lewis will head to the free throw line, which is where she wrapped up last year. The game against Marquette last year, I should say. That was in overtime. This is in regulation, trying to salt it away, and if she can hit both, tie a career high.
Well, we'll see ourselves out.
St. John's free throw shooting, by the way, much improved this year. St. John's and Marquette both in the top half of the conference, but you wouldn't know it from this final minute. 1 out of 4.
No, they were perfect through 3 quarters, and now they're down around 63% from the game at the free throw line.
Carolyn Keeger and Marquette use a timeout here.
Both teams have 1 left. See how much they want to try and force the action here. Both teams will be in the bonus the rest of the way.
With all the rules they have about using timeouts, can we institute one? There's a cap on the number of timeouts you can use when the score is.
Yeah, it's 4. You get 4 timeouts. No, I to a certain extent, you think about all that women's basketball has done to make it more spectator friendly. increase scoring, make the numbers look a little more inflated. You do 4 quarters, you take out the 1 and 1, you do 5 fouls so that you don't get into foul trouble in the 13th minute of a half, and then the game slows down. And for all that work, you still feel like there's still just a little bit of lag at times in the college game.
Yeah. Timeouts in the last minute or basketball in general also.
Yep, that's not a men's or a women's or a college or a pro problem. That's everywhere. I did a game last week where the final minute and a half of a game took 19 minutes. 19 minutes. How's that possible?
Marquette will advance the basketball after the timeout. That's something you can do in the women's college game. It's Heidemann. It's still Heidemann. Littleton comes down with the rebound. Lewis holds, and somehow Marquette is still fouled.
Well, good news for Lewis. You know, we potentially jinxed her there at the line, talking about trying to get to a career high, and she gets 2 more free throw attempts to try and knock that down. A double-double in this game. Lewis, masterful performance, passes of all types, and scoring as well. Really strong work.
Chantel Valentine fouled out, and they gratefully did not take the minute to name her replacement.
That one was quick.
Aaliyah Lewis will be well pleased with her performance in this game despite that. And St. John's gonna walk out big winners this afternoon. Jade Walker drops 32 on Marquette. And St. John's holds on for a 70-64 win. The Red Storm have won 9 out of 10, and they go to 3-1 in Big East play. Big afternoons from Walker and Lewis. We'll take a quick break, come back with Jade Walker joining R.J. Alter after this quick break. St. John's 70, Marquette 64, the final.
Greatness is not something you're born with, and you don't achieve it overnight. It's something you learn and refine. It's something you build together as a team. It requires exceptional effort, sacrifice and integrity, and tremendous faith. Greatness is not a destination. It's something you find in yourself at Providence College.
Back here at Carnesecca Arena, St. John's 70, Marquette 64, the final. 32 points for the Red Storm's Jade Walker. She's with our Jay Alter.
Well, John, you look up reliable in the dictionary and you get a picture of Jade Walker's performance today. The senior delivered every time St. John's was looking for a bucket, a career-high 32 points for Walker, and we're joined with Jade. Now, what was working so well for you today?
I mean, my teammates are just finding me in the open spots. I think Aaliyah Lewis had like 10-plus assists. She just found me whenever I was cutting to the basket or open, and I just had to finish the bucket.
A wire-to-wire win for Walker and St. John's. What led to the hot start?
We were just trying to go with the offense, you know, try to switch on to the smaller defenders and everything. And I think we did a good job offensively of taking advantage of that. So I think that's what got us started off really good.
Jade and I trying to avoid the Ducks as they're thrown on to the court after the game. One more question for you. It's 3 wins in a row. What's working so well for your team right now?
I mean, we're just executing the game plan, trying to just go over what the coach taught us and just sticking to what we know. So far it's working so good.
Right, 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 Ducks avoided after the game. Jade, congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Back to you, John.
Thanks, Jay. Well avoided, well dodged in all accounts. And St. John's in control of this one all the way through, Mike.
Started off 8-0. Most importantly, they won in the paint. 40-16, the margin in the paint. Jade Walker did it on the offensive and defensive end. Lewis was tremendous, and so was Littleton.
Walker 32-9. Aaliyah Lewis 21 points, 10 assists. St. John's rolls to the win 70-64. They've won 9 out of 10 for our entire crew. Jay Alter, Mike Watts, I'm Jonathan Yardley. So long from Queens.